Awesome. So let me know when we're live. You could see us.
You on your page or yep, I can see us. Oh yes, I can see all of you.
Yay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yay!
Thank you so much for tuning in to Define You Radio. I'm your host, Valencia Griffin-Wallace. It is another special FB Live edition. Make sure you guys like, love, and share the video, especially if you are hashtag Define You in the building, because y'all know I can't share at this moment. I'm joined, of course, with my beautiful co-host. Hey, Queen Ashanti, make sure you like, love, and share the video. I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Queen Lyvonne. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Hello, Queens. How are you all today?
Yay!
Hello, hello.
I am loving the hairdo. So really quick, guys, like I said, make sure Queens, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Make sure you like, love, and share the video and let us know how you are going to say yes to you today. That's a problem us women have. That's right. Hashtag Define You in the building. Let me see those in the comments. I love my queens. Hopefully, you guys are going to say yes by joining us at the Move Retreat. Let me add that. To find out more about the Move Retreat, go to valenciagwallace.com/events. Also, Baton Rouge and surrounding areas, join me at the Brokenness Empowerment Session. Yes, I am laying it down in my city of birth in a couple of weeks. So to find out more information about that, contact Josh Perry at 225-456-8994, or you can look on my homepage where that is. What else? Okay, so now back to the actual show. Like I worked on this whole spill out the advertisement thing. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. So class is really in session tonight. Queens, pens, and papers ready. We are joined by the beautiful Miss Telly Walker of penandpen.net. Hey, Miss Telly, how you doing tonight?
Hello. I am
Yeah.
well. I'm well. Yes.
And y'all, she is like right in New Orleans. Okay, this is why I need to get out more and connect really more with people in my home state. I'm not gonna always be trapped. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. So Miss Telly, what I love is she helps women gain clarity on their vision and gives themselves permission to chase it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we always talking about y'all getting clear. Sometimes your vision cloudy, whether it's your glasses, your contacts. I don't know. A lot of us still don't know where we're going in 2019. But if you do know, are you giving yourself permission to go after it already? I'm just saying.
Right.
So tonight we are going to learn how to visualize, strategize, and mobilize our dreams. With that being said, like I said, pens and papers ready. Class is now in session. So,
yes.
Yay, Miss Telly, I'm really excited to have you on, especially because, Queen Lyvonne is here and she always comes with the really great questions, because sometimes I'm so busy taking notes, I'm like, I get lost. I'm not lying. Now, your story is very interesting, and I want to kind of jump head first into some of the obstacles you have faced. If you want to go ahead and tell the queens a little bit about that part.
Absolutely. Well, but before I begin, I definitely want to say thank you for having me. It's always good to connect with women and really collaborate and connect and cultivate connections, and so I'm always looking forward to do that in intimate settings or bigger settings. But yes, like you said, before I started even Pen and Pen, I went through devastation, despair, divorce, death of a marriage, and the death of my 18-year-old nephew. And so before all of that happened, I kind of was just really living a mediocre, let's say, and bored life. I was very comfortable. I was comfortable in my comfortableness. And I'm pretty sure many queens can relate to that we get into this rut of, okay, I'm going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, taking care of the kids. We kind of get into that habit because we're creatures of habit. But that can also set in complacency and comfortableness. And so for me, I was there. I was at that place of I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to figure out what God has put in my belly to birth, but didn't quite know how to give it birth, what to do with it. And so in 2016, I was faced with my marriage kind of crumbling, and didn't know what to do with that. And then May 2016, my family experienced something unprecedented for our family. My 18-year-old nephew was murdered. And so, of course, that took my family on a whirlwind of emotions, and we were shattered, of course, as you can imagine. Just what started to take place, even though that happened, now I can look back and say, through those devastating experiences and through, going through depression and things like that, I learned a lot about myself and what areas were weak and which areas were strong. But then my business was birthed. I started doing more vision boards, even though I had done a vision board before, started doing them more. So that time in my life where we were experiencing, the death of my nephew and really trying to pick up the pieces months after that, I took about a month off and really started to put pen to paper and started to really say, what is it that you want out of life? Because prior to that, I was just really going off of complacency and comfortableness and truly riding the coattail of mediocrity. Like I was okay just kind of being right there, not rocking the boat, not giving myself permission, still asking the world for permission for everything that I wanted. And so I took a month off after that and really started to say, Telly, what is it that you want? Like if, seeing my 18-year-old nephew lie there, really, I started to ask those questions. If it were me, if it were me, have I really lived a full life? Have I really put some check marks next to the things that I know I should be doing? Have I given myself permission to say yes to myself? And I hadn't up until that point. Honestly, I had not. And so I started to say those things that I know I wanted, that I know was kind of in my gut. My gut was telling me that I needed to do, but I hadn't done yet. And so I started to do that. And I started to do it unapologetically. Like I stopped asking people for permission. And I always say that. And of course, that's my tag on my website. And I say that a lot. Don't ask for permission, write your own permission slip, because we spend so much time doing that. We spend so much time asking people, and not necessarily for permission, but when God has given us a vision or God has told us to do something, we kind of go to people and say, well, what do you think about this? Well, and if they don't give you the right answer, we start to like push back on, we don't, we don't go for it still. We'll just kind of push back and say, well, maybe that's not what I should be doing. And that's a form of asking for permission, because if they don't give you the response that you want, chances are you're going to back away from it. And if enough people start to give you the wrong answer, then you won't even trust your own voice. And that's a problem that we have a lot. We don't trust our own voice. We don't trust our intuition. And God gave us intuition for a reason. And so I teach women, and that's what the business is really about, teaching women really how to write your own permission slip and stop asking for permission. And so that's kind of how all of that started, through devastation, through despair, through now I am divorced. I was able to even verbalize that, because for the longest I struggled even to have that conversation, to even utter the word divorce to my husband, to my now ex-husband. It scared me to even say those words, but I had to be okay with Telly. And I learned all of that through devastation and despair. And that's how Pen and Pen was really birthed. Yeah.
Wow, you said a mouthful and a half. And I see Queen Lyvonne, she bursting at the seams because I see the questions formulating in her head. But I wanted to say, new listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys like, love, share the video, and put your comments in if you have comments or questions for me, Queen Lyvonne, or Queen Telly. Go ahead and put them in, and we could get them answered. So Queen Lyvonne, go ahead, because I see the wheels turning.
You said so much. You hit so many points that I felt like I could relate to several of those. So I wanted you to just take us a little bit on that journey, because as you said, you took a month off, to try to reclaim and to how to get some stability.
Right.
Where would you start for someone if they were on the outside, or someone that may be experiencing some of the losses that you've experienced.
Right.
Because a lot of times at that point we feel like we're at rock bottom, because it's like, I don't know what to do. Too much when those blows happen back to back.
Right.
What is it you would say to that person if you had to look back at yourself and had to speak to yourself at that point? What would you say?
Yeah. And I'll go a little bit more in detail to that time. During a time, especially a crisis in your life, right? A major crisis in your life, everything is shattering and you are trying to put back the pieces. Now, I think sometimes we struggle with this a lot because we're trying to get back to that space that we once were. I will never get back to that space. I'm a new person now. Because I've never experienced what I experienced before. I've never been a person that's divorced. I'm now divorced. I never experienced a family member dying at 18 or being murdered at 18. So I can't go back to that person prior to May 4th, 2016. I can't go back to her. Right. So now it's about now having this situation in my life happen. What do I do with these pieces of that particular situation? And how do I walk in newness? Knowing that what I just experienced, how do I walk in newness now? Because I think that's where we struggle. We hang our hat on past regret and past failure. And we're trying to get back to, man, if I can just go back, I don't sit there and say, man, if I could go back to before I was divorced, or if I could go back before my nephew died. I try not to do that. What I try to do is, now that this has happened, now that these situations have happened, now what do I do to get to the next step? With all of the baggage, with all of the hurt and pain, how do I stand in my pain? Right? How do I have power and control over the pain and not let the pain have control and power over me? And I think a lot of people are stuck in that too. And so what I started to do is just make list of what I wanted and what I wanted this new person to have, me, the new person with all of what I had just experienced. What do I want in life? And just from the simplest of things, I want clarity. I want a better relationship with God, because when you go through something like that, that's unprecedented, you question God. And I don't care what anybody say, you question, where is God? How could he let this happen? Of course, when you come to your right mind, you realize, okay, this has happened. This is what I need to do. Got everything for a purpose. But in that moment, you're questioning everything, including your higher power, right? And so I started to make list of, what do I want my spiritual life to look like? Honestly, what do I want my spiritual life to look like? From that to just basic things of, how do I gain clarity day to day? How do I gain clarity day to day? Because right now I don't have clarity. Everything is, in those moments, everything is muddled. Everything is scattered. Nothing seems right. So what are some things that I need to do to gain clarity? Just a basic list, and not taking anything for granted. Really making that detailed list that may consist of minute and kind of things that are just very small, but they're important in those moments. So I always start out with list too. That's very important. And I'll share this with you, even with my sister, it was her son that we lost. Someone that's dealing with death and depression, the smallest task can be daunting, right? So getting out of bed is a struggle for somebody that's experiencing loss and devastation. So even from that, her and I worked together, me being kind of there with her to kind of gain some spiritual clarity, but also little tasks like getting out of bed. Did you do that today? Did you groom yourself today? Did you, were you able to even go to the store today? Because my sister experienced a lot of social anxiety because she was afraid to go out to the stores, afraid that people would ask her questions about the murder of her son. She didn't want to answer those questions.
Yeah.
And so her and I would make lists of, did you go to the store today? How long did you spend time in the store? Even if she had a moment of 10 minutes in the store, that was acknowledged as a success, So those kinds of things, help in those kind of moments, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to ask you, what was the time period between your marriage breaking up and your nephew's death? Like, what was the window there?
It was honestly all back to back. My marriage really started to crumble a year in. And I say this, and all of this is related. Remember, I said that we don't give ourselves permission. We allow, other people to give us permission. We're constantly asking other people to write our permission slip, and things of that nature. And we don't know how to really say yes to ourselves. And so when I got married, I didn't do it for me. I did it for security, because I did not feel secure. I did not feel secure at all. And he brought a false sense of security for me. Right. And so a year in the marriage, because I wasn't complete, right? Because I wasn't whole. I brought all my brokenness to the marriage. I didn't know how to say yes to me at all. And so when we got married, on the outside, that it seemed like a pretty picture, but when I got in the marriage, it suffered because I wasn't whole. Right. And so things just started to crumble in the marriage. And then, that was around 2014. 2016, this happens to my nephew. And then the marriage just kind of deteriorate, because I'm seeing what's happening to my nephew, that has happened. I'm seeing what's happening to my marriage. And I'm asking God, have I really lived my life? Have I really checked all the boxes? And every time I was saying no, I was getting further and further away from my husband too, because it wasn't, none of what God wanted for me was aligning with where I was standing in the moment. If you know what I mean. So it's my marriage started to crumble. To directly answer your question, started to crumble around 2014. 2015, we were separated. We weren't really, together. And then we enter into 2016 with my nephew. And then thereafter, we just started to, it was time to get a divorce thereafter. And so it's kind of those back-to-back things that took place that really shattered a lot of things in my life. But in the shatteredness, I learned a lot about myself too. You know what I mean? I started to kind of like, you're shattered, and then you find a way to build yourself back up.
Yeah.
And so that's what I started to do. And I was okay with, honestly, I don't regret anything of it. And because I believe that I became a whole person through it all. You know what I mean? I became whole, and I would do anything to get my nephew back. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
I would do anything. But at the same time, I started to know and like and love Telly. I started to know who this person was. I didn't know that before, because everybody was writing my permission slip for me. I didn't know what it was to actually stand on my own and be me and do it unapologetically and be okay with that. Yeah.
Wow. I definitely want to say condolences on losing your nephew. I lost my nephew couple of years ago. I'm not really sure. It just, with death, it seems like the time just meshes almost. Like you just, it seems like it was yesterday on one hand, and on the other hand, it seems like it was far away. But my he was like a second cousin, but because of the age difference, he was like a nephew. I consider him my nephew. So he was murdered in Baton Rouge.
Oh, wow.
Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, give or take. And death has a way of making you look at life like, dang, what am I doing? What have I done? What can I do?
Right.
Like death has a way of making you feel powerless and powerful at the same time.
Right.
Very true.
Right.
So,
and condolences to you too. I definitely want to say that. But I was speaking about this at the last speaking conference that I did, and I was sharing with the ladies that it's so important. I was sharing my story, of course, of my nephew, and I was sharing with them that it's so important to understand what your mission is in life and understand why you are here. Like, for the longest, my voice was on mute. And through all of what I've gone through, I have to speak about it. There's no way I cannot speak about it. And I had to come to the understanding that my vision and what God had for me is bigger than the pain. And so I had to do that, because I could not let the pain have all the power. And I think when you go through death and devastation, we stay stuck there because we are truly allowing the pain to have all the power. And so it seems like it's, like sometimes you may step back and say, man, it's been 3 years for me almost. This May will be 3 years since my nephew has died. And I think about him all the time, but I'm not up close to it how I was May 4th, 2016, right? But sometimes we look at individuals and it seems like they're still this close to it. You know what I mean? It seems like they're still, and everybody grieves differently, but you have to make sure that you are in control and you don't give the pain all the power. That there are days when I still cry, but I still talk and speak about my nephew with tears rolling down my face. I will still stand on the stage and tears will pour, but I also need to make sure that I'm in control of the pain as much as I can be and not wallow and stay, because that's not what he would want for me. And that's not what God wants for me, you know. And there's somebody else that it's up close, that they're up close to that pain, and sharing your story, you, Valencia, sharing your story about your family member, it allows people to back away from that pain and say, if they've done it, if they have done it, I know that I can back away from that pain and not let that pain have all the power like I'm doing. So it's important to share that and let people know. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Queen Lyvonne.
I just love what you said. You know, we can't allow pain to have the power, because we so often get so wrapped up, like we allow pain just to envelop us and we just sit there and stay in there. So that's all. I love that. I love that. What you said at that part. I would ask, during this time, you mentioned earlier how we will question God. How will you say your relationship, your spiritual relationship, has grown since this broken season that you experienced?
And I'm glad you asked that question too, because for the longest, but prior to that, I was complacent with God too. You know, I go to church, you know, read a few scriptures, and I'm being honest and I'm being very transparent. I was at a place, I grew up Catholic, excuse me. I grew up Catholic, and no shade on that at all, but I felt like I was one of those individuals that just, if I felt like I went to church and got it in 30 minutes, I was good. Me and God were good because I went to church 30 minutes, we good. I can go home, cook, watch the game, and be good.
And your soul is saved.
That's not what God, right. That's not what God wants. That's not what God wants. So I was very complacent with my relationship with God, and really, I can't even call it a relationship. I had a relationship with church, not with God. And so now what's so exciting for me is to go to church. And I know now if I miss a Sunday, my week is not right. My week is not right, because I am going these days to connect with God and to just have that fellowship with other Christians and other folks that we're on the same accord. And I can just kind of be in my car and God will touch my spirit, or God will pour into me. And I find myself just kind of recording, which is something I never would do. If God gives me a message or something that he just kind of places on my heart, I will quickly pull up my phone and just record what it was. I may not go back to it right then and there, but I know that message will come back to me, or I need to pull it out later on. And a lot of journaling and devotional time with God these days too. So through that time, you know, I learned a lot about where I was with God and where I needed to go with him and where he wanted us to go together, you know. And so I would say that it's better. Now, it's not the best, but it's definitely better than where I was prior to 2016. Yeah, because when you don't have anything, you got to rely on God.
Right. And we have a question from Queen Lorraine Bradley. Thank you so much, Queen, for joining us. She says, do you feel that death has made you stronger to be able to embrace your truth, to deal with self? Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I think the mask is off. For the longest, I could wear a good mask. My background is in social work, and I always talk to people. It's so interesting because the helper always needs help too. But you know, we're as social workers, we want to be strong. We want to be everybody's saving grace, you know, and we talk to individuals about not wearing the mask. But I was, you know, the one wearing the mask for the longest of time in my marriage, in my relationships with others. I wore a good mask and I knew how to do it. But death and devastation, losing my marriage and feeling like, oh God, what will people think? My mask had to come off, and I had to learn to be transparent. And through vulnerability and transparency, you learn that, okay, I have nothing else to hide. I'm giving you the truth of who Telly is. And that only happens too when you know yourself, when when you know who you are and whose you are. And for the longest, I didn't know that. I was okay being who everybody else thought I needed to be. Again, going back to everybody else signing my permission slip or having rights to my permission slip, let's say that, and me not even owning my own permission slip. And what I mean by that is, because people always ask me, well, what do you mean by permission slip?
Right.
Really just writing your own way through life. Really knowing who you are and setting the bar and setting the standards for yourself, and not letting the world, because the world will give you notice and the world will tell you who you are. If you don't serve notice on the world, everybody will tell you, well, you ought to do this, or maybe you should do this. Have you ever thought? And if you don't know who you are and whose you are, you will find yourself doing everything. You will find yourself being in a circus, and doing tricks for everybody else. You will do that. And so, yes, I would say that because my relationship with God is better, and because I know who I am and that I belong to him, and my mission and my vision comes from him, I can say that it allows me to just be open and bring Telly to the table every single time I show up at the table. Yeah.
I love that, bringing Telly to the table. And Queen Jeanette Hill, hey Queen, put some Baptists feel that too. Just to put her comment out there. And I love that you said, when I write notes, I know what I mean when I write them, but when I go back, it's like, what? I was going too fast. But when you were talking about the permission slip and finding your own way in life, finding like this is me, like my name don't start with a T. I wish it would, because that's real catchy, bringing Telly to the table. So, but really,
I'm going to have to do something with that.
I love. That's another brand or
I know.
Right.
Let me find out. Bringing Valencia to the valley or something. I need a keyword, Queens.
Valencia to the venue.
Love. Somebody hashtag write that down for me, because y'all know I forget. So I want to, and you've given so much good stuff. We literally probably could pull like 2-3 shows just out of what you said already.
Yeah.
Especially earlier when you talked about people living in their pain. And I think it was, I don't know if it was last week before or whatever, but I said something about people wanting to be empowerment speakers, but you're not speaking empowerment if you're only telling me about your pain. Like, how did you get over it? How are you empowered?
How do I get past it?
Right. And that's what I see a lot. Like, you're not an empowerment speaker. Shoot, you making me hate my life more.
I'm depressed.
I'm depressed after hearing you speak. That ain't empowerment. Right. So pen and pen, where did the name come from? So
after that, so let's talk about it after that, right? The empowerment piece and how to get out of all of that. I started doing vision boards. I've always done vision boards. I've always done them, but on a personal note, just and it wasn't as elaborate as I'm doing them now, but it was always making lists, kind of having, affirmations and things like that. And I would carry just a little flip chart. When I needed a little boost, I had my flip chart. And so helping my sister, I was like, okay, the next step I need to do, because I knew that I needed to get back to work before my sister would. My sister's going back to school. Thank God for that. She's going back to school, but she hasn't been back to work since 2016. Like, that's how long this thing took her. But I needed to get back to work. And so I started to do a vision board. I started to focus on 5 areas of my life that I knew I wanted to take shape. And so what I started to do was pen, so P-E-N, right? Pen some things down and really take a pencil or an ink pen and just write things down. So pen, P-I-N. So always have your vision in front of you. Always have your vision board, your vision in front of you. And so you have to pin it in front of you. Okay. And so that's how it all started. I focus on 5 areas. And even in my book, which I'll share with you guys in a minute, Visualize, Strategize, Mobilize, I talk about these 5 areas because it's very important. I wanted to make sure my spirituality stayed intact. And I wanted to make sure that what I had gained through the loss of my nephew, my relationship with God, and really devotional with him, and really having a true connection with him, I didn't want to lose that. And so I wanted to make sure that reading the daily word, doing devotionals, that I remain doing that. And so I started to write down, that's what I wanted my spiritual life to start to look like. And then in my profession, I am a social worker, but again, I had told you guys I was just complacent. I was very comfortable. And so I wanted to make sure when I got back to work, I was engaged. I wasn't just saying, okay, 9 to 5, I'm done. I'm done. I wanted, I was about to be promoted to a manager, and I wanted to make sure I knew what that role entailed. And I was the true essence of a good manager. Not just somebody's boss, but I wanted to be a good leader. And so I wanted to make sure that I was doing my work, my profession, and not just being comfortable. And then personal development. I started, if you follow my personal page, not just my business page, I wanted to make sure during that time that I was out for that month, I started doing a lot of exercising, and that helped me a lot. I needed to hit something. And so I started doing cardio. I started doing cardio boxing because I needed to kind of get this anger out in a productive way. And so I started to exercise, and I really wanted that kind of constant transformation. I kind of wanted to keep doing it, eating well, things that, like, of course, when you go through devastation, you're emotional eating. And I had gained a lot of weight. I gained so much weight. And so I wanted to make sure my weight kind of was, I was conscious of my weight and what I was putting in my mouth, and making sure that I was doing healthy eating and healthy habits. And so I started working out, started reading more. And that was that personal piece. So my spirituality, my professional development, my personal development, started reading more. Creativity was important. So vision boards, that was kind of that creative piece for me. And then finances too. That was important. I wanted to make sure that I could tackle my finances in a great way. Because we all know, if you have money, if you know how to budget, you're a little bit more happy.
Yeah.
If your money is right, if your bank account is right. Yes. And so those are the 5 areas that I wanted to focus on. And so I started doing vision boards with those 5 areas. Started doing them. I posted about it in my journey to kind of getting back on track. And people kind of started saying, hey, what is, what's the vision board? I need to do a vision board. Did a couple for my friends, and it kind of took off from there. Matter of fact, that they kind of wanted me to do vision boards and things like that. Now, I always say this because I do vision board workshops too. We were starting to do the vision boards, and then people kind of put the vision board aside. And I find this to be true with a lot of vision board workshops. I don't necessarily focus on just pretty pictures, because what started to happen was people focus on the pretty picture and not the purpose, and not their purpose. And so with the vision board, I was doing the vision board for people's, but they weren't attending to the vision board. So I'm like, what's going on that? We follow up with everybody that I did a vision board with. Oh, I'm not really doing it. Vision board is in the basement. Vision board is in the attic. Vision board is behind the dresser, not in front of them at all. And so I started to realize people were okay with pretty pictures, but not giving themselves permission to do what it is they said they wanted to do on that vision board.
Wow.
And so people were just focusing on the pretty pictures. Oh, I like this picture. Not understanding why they chose that picture. Not really, no one really telling them this is why, this is the areas that you should focus on.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to do more with these vision boards. It can't just be about vision boards. It has to be about you identifying your purpose and then planning accordingly. And so that lended itself to the life coaching that I'm doing now. And so we will start with life coaching and walking through, a 4-week course that I do, my flagship course. And then we will start to do the vision board, because the vision board should come really at the end. Once you've figured out who you are, whose you are, that you have your mission statement, that you know what direction you're going in, right? Then you can adequately, I'll say that you can adequately do a vision board, and you'll find yourself constantly checking the vision board, as opposed to just putting pictures on the board and not understanding, well, why do I want this picture on here? You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how I work a vision board. My vision boards will have more words and goals on it rather than just pictures. Now I may follow up with a picture, but it's not always leading with a picture. And if it's a picture on there, it has a purpose, not just a pretty picture. And so that's how Pen and Pen, that's kind of where we are with Pen and Pen. Yeah.
I'm about to have to take all my vision boards off my wall. And
No,
look
you
and
don't.
redo this
No, you don't.
project. But
No, no.
I'm look, y'all. When I say classes in session, I want y'all to see all
She's taking
my
notes.
notes. Yeah, I
Yes.
take good notes, and I want to kind of reiterate the 5 areas Miss Telly said with
Yes.
her vision board: is spirituality, profession, personal development, creativity, and finances. I love
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Queen Lyvonne, if you want to go ahead, because I'm not going to call anybody out about vision boards because somebody does something else.
Well,
Queen Lyvonne.
I was waiting to speak because I was gonna say that I'm not a um huge vision board advocate. I do think they, they are very work well, and that I've seen a lot of people have success with them. They just aren't for me. Although I am a visual learner, vision boards just don't work for me. Now,
Gotcha.
I have shared that I do like to do what I call vision frames. So I will do something that's more like a 8x10 or 8x11 or a 5x7 size that can be put in a frame. And like you said, I have a lot of times more phrases or words, and most often they are detailed to a goal, like one specific thing that I'm working towards. And I use it as a kind of like a focal point for me, because I can place it on my desk, on my dresser. It's something that I can carry with me somewhere. I can place it where I can see it every day, and that I'm motivated to actually follow through, like you said, without the permission. And I did like that you stated that you use more phrases, or words. Now, is that incorporating affirmations in that? I wanted to
I
ask.
do.
Okay.
I do. And what I usually do, and I like that you say that, and I want to clarify too, because I think when people think about a vision board, they think about the big poster. But what you have too is a vision board. You know what I mean? It's that thing that's going to drive you. If you look behind me, I have like a vision accessory corner in my bedroom. That's what I wake up to every morning. And if I'll pan it a little bit, I have my little mannequin too that says "Desire to inspire." So to me, all of that's considered a vision board.
Okay.
You know, it's that thing that motivates you. Now, that's my vision wall. Now, I still will keep a vision board that will have those 5 components on it too. Okay. I will do more of, so I'll just kind of plainly let you know, spirituality. So I'll write the word spirituality on maybe an index card. And then I'll list maybe 3 things that I want to hit, maybe for the quarter or for the week, whatever I'm working on. If I check it off, then I'll switch another goal. And that's how I usually do mine. Spirituality, 3 things that I want to hit. You need to get back into your Bible if you've gotten off course. You need to at least read, an Old Testament, New Testament, a day. I kind of do those things. And not that I want it to be regimented, because I don't do it. Let me say this too. I'm not robotic with it, but it gives me something to aspire to.
Yes.
It gives me something to aspire to. Now, some things I have to do in terms of personal, I need to read, or if it's not a book, it's an Audible. I have a bit of a commute from work to home, so I can do an Audible, and that's okay. It doesn't always have to be a book per se. It can be Audible, but I do believe that we have to read. That's how you learn. That's how you expand your vocabulary. That's how you just learn about new things and different things and how things work. We have to read, and I firmly believe in that. And then finances. There are some things every day I have to do with my finances. If not, my bank account is going to look funny. So every day there are certain things I have to do. But in terms of spirituality, I never want to be in that robotic place, because I came from that. But I do need a goal in place. So yes, those 5 areas. But I also, in the middle of my vision board, I will put a mission statement. I believe in mission statements. And I always share this, if you are hired by a company, the very first thing that they present to you is their mission statement. And the reason is they need to let you know how this ship works. They don't need you bringing in your own mission or your own ideas. And if you are going to be a part of that organization, service, or company, they need to know that you buy into that mission statement, right? And so if we think about that, we too need a mission statement. So when people meet us, when people greet us, something about us should say, we have a mission, and we're letting them know what our mission is. right? We should embody that. We should wear the mission statement. Something about what we present to them should say, yeah, she said this is her mission statement, and something about how she looks, something a bit about how she speaks says this is her mission statement, right? So for me, it's
I
very
love
simple.
that.
My mission,
like that.
you have to have one. If you don't have a mission or a vision, you wander around aimlessly. You have to have a mission statement. Or you will return to old ways if you don't have a mission, right? Because the mission directs your path. The mission says, this is the direction I'm going in. This is the vision. This is the direction I'm going in. And companies too, when they get off track, they always go back to what? The mission statement. What got us started? So we need to operate in that manner too. We need to have a mission statement. So for me, mine is just to really live a life that's inspiring so other people take action on their life. That's it. Now, how I do that may be different, right? I may do one-on-one coaching. I may do group work. I may do a vision board session party or something like that. So you may have various ways that you do it. But the core message is, I want to live a life that's inspiring so you take action on your life. So when I talk to you, when I show up somewhere, I should not be the person that's pessimistic, right? I should not be the person that's always downtrodden. I should be the person in the room. If somebody needs an encouraging word, I can give them something to hold on to. And if I don't do that, then I'm not living by my mission statement.
Right. Like you can't be a confidence coach or, you know, people with titles and you coming in there with low self-esteem.
Exactly.
You know, I'm very, my mission statement, vision statement, any statement is, you know, very, and if I came there with anything different than who Valencia is and what Valencia represents with define you and with my boldness and unapologeticness, the question should be, or am I sick? Am I being held hostage? Because I'm very, very much me. And I love that. I love that. So I love that you hit that. And I really hope, you know, I see Queen Jeanette is making like a lot of comments or anybody that like put it in there. I love Queen Jeanette. She's actually an award-winning playwright.
Nice.
So, shout out to Queen Jeanette. Yes. And she's the bomb. But I love that you hit on vision boards. I love everything. Like I want to do a vision wall. I may be up late tonight and show the picture tomorrow that I got a bunch of statements on there and everything else. But just because I love expression, because I'm an artist by nature. And so when it comes to the pictures with the vision boards, to me, somebody will see pictures, but I'll see a picture and it speaks words to me. So I think, so I do love all that. No, if you're part of Define You, I'm not going to make you guys redo your vision board as of right now. I don't know. I'm gonna talk to Miss Telly about that. Class is
do not redo the vision board. Make sure that the pictures you have on the board, it makes sense for what your goal is, not just a pretty picture. Because we you know, the first thing is sight, right? And so things kind of draw us in, and there's something about that picture that spoke to you, but you need to also ask yourself, why did that picture speak to me? What is it about, you know, a businesswoman in a suit that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take that picture. What is that saying to you? How is that resonating? So that's what I mean. Let me just clarify that. So don't take your pictures off your board. But make sure all the pictures you have on your board, they make sense for your goal, your mission, your vision. Not just saying, oh, I don't know why I put this pretty woman on the, no, know why you put her on your board. Yeah.
And I would say, Queen Valencia, well, at least for the Define You ambassadors, you did have us do something early on at the beginning of the year, which was creating our statements that went along with our words.
Oh, nice.
Of the year. So I think those type of statements, instead of redoing my board or my frame, I would add some of those statements. Like Telly said, add those affirmations, add those statements or those power words that's gonna help tie the picture to the goal.
Right. And another thing, go ahead. Go ahead,
Queen. Go ahead, Queen.
Another thing too, when we're talking about goals, since you brought it up, Lyvonne, I always tell people too, because of course when we do vision boards, sometimes we don't have that low-hanging fruit. That and some people say, well, I don't want to be anybody's low-hanging fruit. In terms of goals, you do want low-hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is some short-term goals that you can knock out in like 2 weeks. Because we need instant gratification. We need to know how success feels.
Yeah.
If you're someone that
I love that.
you never really experienced success, you need to feel it instantly. So you know, okay, this is the feeling I'm searching for. I'm searching for this feeling, right? So low-hanging fruit is good in this situation. If I'm someone I struggle with finances, I never had a bank account. I always, you know, as soon as my money come in, it leaves me. Maybe your goal can be, I need to open up a bank account. You can do that in 2 weeks. That's your low-hanging fruit. That's your low-hanging fruit. You need both. You need low-hanging fruit, and you need some fruit that's going to cause you to stretch the long-term goal. You need that so you know how it feels to challenge yourself, because not everything will come easy in life. There's some things you need to stretch for. So both of those are very, very important when we're talking about goal setting: low-hanging fruit and fruit that's going to cause you to stretch. So I just wanted to add that in when we're talking about goal setting.
I love that.
Okay, look, because I wrote low-hanging fruit, and then because my next question was about goal setting, because I know people struggle in when they're setting goals and trying to stick to it. So what would you say to, you know, a king or a queen that's like, I don't even know where to start with setting goals, or I set these goals, but how do I stick to it? If you could kind of touch back on that for the kings and queens that even struggle with that.
Right. So I think too, what's important, going back to vision, is important, and what your mission is, right? Your goals should tie into that. The goals, like we have goals at work, we have daily goals that daily tasks that we have to knock out. But if you're talking about long-term goals, I think it's very important. And that's why a lot of times people don't reach the goal, because they don't know what the mission is. They don't know, for me, this is you can't really compartmentalize it. And let me clarify why I'm saying that, because I remember in the beginning when I was sharing my story with you, I didn't have a close relationship with God. Like it wasn't a relationship. I had a relationship with church, right? I didn't know what in the world God wanted me to do. I'm not going to say I didn't care, but I wasn't searching for it. I was okay with my job. I didn't have long-term goals. Like I didn't care about that. I kind of was checking the box. Okay, let me become a social worker, check the box. Let me do this, and it's sad to say, but I was just kind of saying, okay, maybe it'll look good to do this. Maybe it'll look good to do that. Not really saying, but this is my ultimate goal. And so everything that I got involved in, it wasn't fulfilling, because I didn't know what the overall mission in life was. I didn't know what God wanted me to do. Now I know. So you need to know what your mission is in life. And in order to know that, you need to know who you are and whose you are. You need to know whose you are. I know that I'm a child of God. And I have to talk about this because I can only be me. I can only be telling, let you know, this is how it worked for me. This is what I tell my clients. And they know that up front. This is what I'm going to tell you, that if you know who your creator is, then you will know why you are created. Right? If you know that, then you can start to ask your creator, what do you want me to do? What is my mission? And what is the vision that you have for me? Every other goal should align. That's why the mission statement is so important. Every other goal in life should align to that. So my finances, a 10% to God, right? Now I'm just giving you my example. I'm not saying this is what you have to do in terms of giving 10% to God. But if my mission is to live a life that's fulfilling, so you take action on your life, right? If that's my mission statement, then my finances should say something about that, right? My spiritual life, I should be in the church, helping out in the church and inspiring other women in the church as well, right? To take action on their life or to have a relationship with God. My finances, I should be telling people about how money works or how it's working for me so they can take action and budget accordingly. Like all of those things have to align with your mission statement. And that's why people struggle, because they're trying to have a goal here, but it doesn't connect over here, or it doesn't connect with the mission statement, or they are captured by comparison. And that is dangerous, to be captured by comparison.
Get another piece of paper.
And I'm saying that because, of course, social media is big. And it's so easy for us to be captured and enamored by other people and their success. And we're trying to reach that. But if God is not saying, Telly, you are not to, if God is saying, no, this is not what I have for you, but here I am trying to say, well, no, this is what I want. It will never work. It will never work. Now, you may come into money, you may have success, but it won't be, something about it will be broken because I haven't connected with my creator. I don't know, I'm doing something over here while my creator is doing something over there. And I think that's why people struggle a lot, because they're trying to compartmentalize it. All of this is linked together. All of it. Your purpose was put in you before you even knew you. Before you even knew you, your purpose was in you, right? And if I know that, and if I know who put it there, then I can give birth to it. But I first have to know who put it in my belly, who gave it to me, even before I knew me, right? And it's my job to unwrap it and unpeel it in such a way that it served God, and then it served his people. It served other people. Like, what you're doing, you are serving people. And I'm pretty sure you enjoy doing what it is that you do. I'm pretty sure you're gifted in it. Not everybody can do podcasts. Not everybody wants to do what you're doing. It's something about you that says you're supposed to be doing this, right? Yes, and so everything about what you do is supposed to line up with that. And if that's what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to really try to figure out what it is that God wants us to do. What's the intended purpose and mission that he has for us? And we spend a lifetime pulling back the layers of it. Because I'm pretty sure 2 years from now, you're going to be doing something different. It'll be kind of constantly stacking it, constantly walking that mission out. It never stops there if you constantly peel back the layers. And that's really what's the problem, that people try to compartmentalize it, or they're really captured by comparison and trying to get what everybody else has. No, I'm supposed to get what God has for me. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to hit so many points. Y'all know I always say classes in session. I'm on my third sheet of notes. Real quick, make sure you like, love, and share the video. Quick shout out to Sam Jackson, who put in the comments are rolling so fast.
I know.
But
okay.
You shared it. We appreciate that. And he made some comments about what we should be reading. So I see you, Sam. We see you. We appreciate you joining us tonight. But everybody is definitely agreeing with what you're saying, and I just want to hashtag walk it out. If you guys understand, you're supposed to, look now, y'all got
walk it out fully.
Walk it out fully.
Yes.
Bring Telly to the table. Telly gonna use that. I'm telling you, I'm gonna go to her website.
I am gonna use that. I wrote it down. I'm like, I need to use that somewhere.
See, God used me. I'm telling you. That's the thing for your when they get ready to hire you as a speaker, bring Telly to the table. I gotta
come on now, speak that. You gotta start saying that. So say that loud.
I gotta start charging for this intellectual, because I just blurt out random stuff. But that's how God flows. But you hit on one of my favorite scriptures, Jeremiah 29:11. I tell people I know Bible, because this is where Queen Lyvonne comes in. I know the Bible. Queen Lyvonne can say where it is in the Bible, and she'll clean it up.
Gotcha.
So that's why one of the reasons the show works really well, because people don't understand how integral, is that the word I'm looking for, your relationship with God, and realizing Jeremiah 29:11 is when I realized that, I'm like, for me, like, you got plans for me, like what?
Right.
And to me, if you don't have a reason to live, that's why people, I think, commit crimes and go out and do drugs and get into a destructive pattern, because they don't understand that, God has plans for you. Like, you're not here. There is, I think I did the math or posted one time, 250 trillion other sperms that could have been here, but you were the one. Why? It's either trillion or billion, but either way, it wasn't about luck. It was about your purpose. Come on, Jesus. Go ahead, Queen Lyvonne. If I start breaking out Baby Jakes and Queen Shannon,
come on
comments.
Come on now.
You know how I started.
Well,
I better understand.
I know. That is probably also one of my most favorite scriptures, because it's just that affirming, like you said, for me, that is like affirming it just makes you feel good to know that somebody
Mhm.
is thinking about me and has some plans in mind for me
Right.
to do some things that no one else can do. Like you said, no one else can do or bring to this earth what has been designated for me. I
Right.
think, and everyone just looking at the comments, I'm going through the comments as you're talking and trying to keep up with everyone. I think that captured by comparison, everybody is loving that. I mean,
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
great because we hear people, talking about social media, and people love to think that what someone is saying on social media is always true. And I want that
Right.
type of life, that I'm going to make six figures in 30 days. And, all this. And so we're trying to obtain something that
Right.
really isn't attainable. But to understand, like you said, to be captured by comparison, to me, it just puts your mind in a different place because all I can
Right.
see is like this cage because it's what we are, but to
Right.
be captured, like when you see the animals out there in the field and they have those traps that capture them, but that's what we get caught up
Yeah,
in. We get so busy trying to compare ourselves,
we do.
and it goes back to but understanding that God has something detailed specifically for your life that you don't have to compare to someone else. And I can tell you, the ladies, everyone in the comment is like really going off on that statement.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a
Yeah.
hashtag right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Right. And so you do have to just kind of, you have to loosen, and I'll be honest with you and transparent. Even me being a coach, I have my own coach, right? So no one wants a coach.
mm,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh,
What
I don't
happened?
I don't know. She dropped for some reason. Let's hope she could go ahead and get back in. Lyvonne, if you want to address some of the comments, why?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at. I know Laquisha also, they are loving that captured by comparison. Um, Jeanette says she has several play titles just from this live on tonight alone. I mean, you and Jeanette, I could agree with you. I feel like I could, if I was a preacher, I probably could write some sermons. But since I am a teacher, I probably can gather some lessons
Mm,
because there is a lot that she has said that's dropped some major nuggets to us on tonight. One, I mean, that captured by comparison. Oh my God, that alone. But then actually understanding something, I don't know if you all caught something that she said about the goals and the low hanging fruit. I love that because we all need that inspiration. You hear people saying, I know I've been one that's to say this, that sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader. Sometimes you have to make your own banner. You got to have your own pom-poms. You have to cheer yourself on.
Okay.
And so something like having that low-hanging fruit is a great way to keep you inspired, a great way to keep you motivated, and a great way to encourage you. So I don't know if you all caught that when she said that, but I want you to go back and think about that. Just dwell on that for a little while. That you don't, everything that you plan doesn't have to be a 5-year goal. How about start with a 5-day goal and knock that out? And then you
Mhm.
pat yourself on the back. And then let's try for the next 15 days. But great nuggets on tonight. And we are back.
Okay. I started
yay.
screaming. I was like, no, we were going hard.
We were
Double. Come on now, double. Back
okay.
up off us.
Look. That's because somebody
No, but
knew where you was about to go. That's why
Right.
Sam Jackson put art and I think
Yes.
I don't know if it's a he or she because Sam could go either way, but
right.
Queen or
Right.
King, are you trying to say stop trying to keep up with the Joneses? And I know
Yes.
Exactly.
because we do. I can't suck my stomach in for all these snatch waist and at my age, like look. I'm not wearing no waist trainer. Tried it, almost
I
died
got to
while
breathe.
driving. And
Oh God.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard
Because
if
it's
you
all
don't
over
have
you,
a sense of balance. Yeah.
and
No,
and
go
you're
ahead.
you're you're kind of wrapped in it. It's hard to get away from social media. And what I was about to say before we we got disconnected, I myself had to pull away I wasn't healthy enough to follow some people. And a lot of people won't admit that. I was not in a spiritual place or a place of wholeness to follow some people. I found myself scrolling sometimes and feeling a little envious or feeling like, and I realized, Telly, you are not healthy enough right now to follow this person. You need to do some more personal work, some more spiritual work, because something about this, you don't know this person. You have no earthly idea who this person is, but something about that person is resonating with you and saying you need more work. And some people won't admit that. I'm Telly enough to admit that there are times in our life we are just not healthy enough, and we need to recognize that. And my grandmother used to say, when you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 pointing back at you. And so literally and figuratively. And that's true, that we point the finger and we say, well, this person, but really it's about you. It's about the work that you need to do, the internal work that you need to do for yourself before you can move on. And so I was talking to today, and I can get on a roll, y'all. I can talk for 3 hours. So if you need to be like, look, Sally, we got comments, or somebody got a question, let me know and I'll stop. But I can talk about this all day. I love it. But the other day on Instagram, I posted about, we often talk about when one door closes, another one opens, but we often negate from talking about the hallway, the period of transition. Right. When we're in the hallway, those are the waiting seasons of our life. And a lot of times we try to rush that. A lot of times we don't take that time in the hallway to say, okay, God, you got me on pause for a reason. You got me on pause for a reason. What is it about? What am I supposed to be learning about myself in the hallway? Right. And so those are important moments in our life, too, when God says, I need to pump the brakes on you right now. Or, child, you need to wait. I'm preparing a space for you. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's what I know, for me, I want everything God has for me. And sometimes that means I need to wait 3 months, 3 years for something. And I need to be okay with that and stop, like we're talking about, living in that cage of comparison. We have to make sure that we are not trying to speed it up because somebody else got it in 30 days. Why can't I get it in 30 days? Well, maybe that's not your season.
Exactly.
And maybe your season is in 30 days.
Maybe they didn't get it in 30 days. They just posting you about,
right.
Just like when we see that, I got a book coming out, X, Y, and Z. That don't mean I wrote a book last night. It probably took me a couple of years and tears. But
Amen.
I want to look to my book writers out there. Y'all understand. Like, don't get me started. But I wanted to go ahead because I know you have a book.
Yes, so I do.
Let's go ahead and hit on that. The book. What is the name of it? What is it about?
So I'll show it to you guys if you can see it. It's Visualize, Strategize, Mobilize book. And it came actually about after the business. I started doing again the vision boards. And I needed to go further. I need to just kind of couldn't just stay on vision boards. And so what I did was decided to put those 5 points that we talked about, right? The spirituality, creativity, professional development, personal development in a book format, and really starting to help people see the things that are hindering them in their life in those areas. What's hindering me spiritually? What's hindering me financially? What's hindering me in a creative, because I do believe creativity is so important. It's kind of Pandora's box, right? It opens up everything. You get to kind of open yourself up to new ideas and new experiences when you are engaging in creative activities. And so I decided to put those 5 things that I was working on when my life was kind of, at a standstill or just, in disarray, put it in a book format so people can start to address those hindrances. Because not everybody, like Lyvonne said, not everybody does like a vision board per se. And some people are better at journaling. Some people are better at just writing it down. And so this is what that book is. It can allow you to kind of write it down. And then at the end of the book, if you want to take everything that you did in the first couple of pages, you can then turn all of those things into a vision board. So all what I worked on in my spiritual component, all of what I worked on in the financial component, then I can start to shape the mission statement. I can start to shape the vision board and say, okay, this is what I really want spiritually. This is how I want to connect to my higher power. This is what I want my finances to look like in X amount of months or years. And you can start to write that down, what you did in the first couple of pages, and change it into a vision board. Or you don't have to do a vision board. It's up to you. But that's what the book is about. It's on my website, www.penandpen.net. Or you can get it on Amazon as well. If you just type in the search engine, Visualize, Strategize, Mobilize, the book will come up. And tonight only, I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys just a little kudos for putting me on. I truly appreciate it. The people that are currently watching, viewing, listening, what have you, they have an opportunity to get a discount today. So if they put in the code Define You, if you go to my website and put in Define You, DEFINEU, you get $5 off the book. The book is $15. You'll get it for $10.
And people are in the comments asking how can they get the book.
Yeah, so they can go to my website, penandpin.net, and then I'll ship that book to you. You can order it. And it's really good too. A lot of the folks that I connected with early on will still kind of come back to me and say, I'm still working, putting some work in my book. And it's something you don't have to do at one time. Take your time with it. It's an activity journal for you to really write down your thoughts. There's pages in here where you can just simply journal about what you just did. So if if you're struggling with your finances or if you're struggling with creativity, you can journal about why do you think you're struggling with that? What are your hindrances? And so that's kind of how this book has been helpful too. A lot of people are using it, turning it into a vision board. A couple of successors that I always share two business owners came to me kind of at some crucial times in their life, and their business is doing phenomenal, but they still will contact me and say, I still use this book when I need to use this book. Yeah. So it's been phenomenal in some folks' lives.
Yay. Y'all, I see all the hashtags Queen Lyvonne put it there. Come on, Define You listeners and Define You movement, and y'all stand up. Use the code. Use the code.
Will you repeat
the code at checkout?
Will you repeat the code for everyone once more?
It's Define You, so DEFIN, the same as the name, Define You.
Define You. Yeah. I wanted to make sure they understood. It's not radio, just Define You.
Yeah. So y'all make sure I'm just saying, Define You, stand up in this building. So it has definitely, Queen Lyvonne, did you have any other questions or things you would like to hit?
That was it. I just would like to say I really enjoyed our conversation on tonight. Some great nuggets, great topics.
I did as well.
We've had a few people already saying this will be a replay type video.
Yeah.
It's one of those tools that you can go back and get even more nuggets. I don't know if you heard me say, Jeanette said she's already got several titles for some plays. Just on this on tonight. So awesome interview on tonight.
Nice. Yeah, this has been so much fun. I'm telling you, you have to stop me because we'll be here from 12 o'clock, tonight. It's always good to, sometimes when you connect with folks, the energy is just right there. You know what I mean? And so I love that. I love the intimate spaces of just cultivating a good connection and really getting the word out about the importance of really having a mission for your life, and that's important to have. So I'm definitely thrilled to be on.
That's number 1, 2, and 3. We definitely have enjoyed you. I could see, having you back on even, in the group, because just like this is one of those shows, like we've had quite a few not quite a few. We've had a few shows where we were like, okay, we need to have them back on. That's a part 2. That's a part 3.
Okay.
And I definitely want us to be able to go into, more detail, because people we need to get the vision together. I understand life is stressing. I understand that you got to cook, clean, try to figure out how you're going to pay energy or Demco, whoever you have for your light. But if you don't have a vision, you're going to find yourself in that same hamster wheel a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Next thing you know, your kids are going through the same thing because you never got all of that. Look,
and that's a whole nother topic right there. Because I always tell moms, demonstrate goal setting to your kids. Demonstrate it. Don't just tell them. Demonstrate it. That's so important. So I'm glad you even touch on that. Yeah.
That's a whole other show. Part of
it is.
Me and Queen Lyvonne was having a similar discussion in
Right, that is
regards to
what I
our
was thinking about.
adult kids and stuff.
Yeah.
So Queen Telly, tell the audience how they could get in touch with you, your social media information, and
Yeah.
Queen Jeanette. I don't think it matters if it's a capital U or
Oh, no,
not.
it doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
Look,
Mm-mm.
Queen Jeanette about to get her book. You better. You
Well,
better.
come on, Queen. Come on, Queen
better.
Jeanette. Come through.
And Sam coming all the way through. He posted the code.
Yes.
Thank you. We appreciate to find you in the building. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Queen Telly.
No problem. So you can visit my website. It's www.pinandpin.net. Email is pinandpin1 at gmail, the number one at gmail.com. But social media too. Social media is Pin and Pin, and then on Instagram, that's Facebook. Excuse me, Pin and Pin, and then on Instagram, it's Pin and Pin1 as well. One thing that I am doing too that I'm starting to love, not starting, but I enjoy doing it and I look forward to it. Every Sunday on Instagram, I do a Courage to Share moment at 7 or 7:30, where women, business owners, and I may be asking you as well, so let me know if you're interested, but women that just really sharing their story, because I really believe that we spend much of our time just muted and much of our time just really not sharing our story. And it really, your story is about you, but it's not for you. You have to tell your story. And so I do that with these women on Sundays on Instagram. We go live at 7:30, and they share their story, how they got started in their business, what women can learn from them. And it's different businesses, from clothing to, what you're doing, podcasts, every business there is, that they have an opportunity, we can connect and do that. So I do that on Sundays. And then on Mondays, I also do a Monday Minute Motivational, where I just do a minute talk where people can kind of have a quick snapshot of how to get your Monday started, because so many people dread Mondays. But it is important to start Monday off on the right foot. So that's kind of what I have going on. But connect with me on social media via my website or my email. And I love talking to people. So if you even want to just shoot me an email, I'm all for it. Yeah.
Yay. Hashtag amen. And I could tell you she is
Yeah.
responsive to email. Do not compare it to how I respond to emails, because y'all know, look, how it go? Linda, listen.
Right.
I got too many email addresses. I can't catch them all in 24 hours. So with that being said, kings and queens, I will, we'll definitely go through the comments to do any response you guys didn't get on the show. Make sure you connect with Queen Telly, Queen Lyvonne. Drop your information. How can they connect with you, just in case they don't know?
It is super easy. If you know my name, you can find me, Lyvonne Copeland, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, website, everything, Lyvonne Copeland.
So nice. It's so easy.
So
with me,
y'all
know, if y'all see Define You, that's, it's the Define You and Valencia Griffin-Wallace. Unless them numbers hit, then it is Zimbuki XYZ. At least I'm being honest. I won't be acting brand new. I'm being honest. Hashtag amen.
Right.
With that being said, thank y'all for joining us. Pens and Papers Down class is officially over. Make sure you connect with Miss Telly at penandpen.net. Make sure you join us at our next session next week, same time and same place. Until next time, remember, your past doesn't define you. It gives you definition. And what you do with that is up to you. See y'all at the movement retreat. Look at me. I can't talk, Jesus. Have a great night.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.